After 2 years of political stalemate, the formation of a new government under Prime Minister Nawaf Salem, brings both hope and uncertainty. Amid economic challenges and the ongoing presence of Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, restoring stability is more crucial than ever. With commitments to reconstruction, financial reforms, and the implementation of Resolution 1701, the stakes are incredibly high. As the deadline for Israel's withdrawal from southern Lebanon approaches, what will be its next move, and how capable is the new government of addressing immediate security concerns? Welcome to In Depth. Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has announced in a statement that he had accepted the resignation of the former caretaker government and signed a decree with new Prime Minister Nawaf Salem forming the new government. In this context, the Economic Times reported that Salem has vowed to restore confidence between citizens and the state, between Lebanon and its Arab surroundings, and also between Lebanon and the international community, and to implement reforms needed to bring the country out of an extended economic crisis. He also promised to follow up on implementation of a ceasefire agreement that ended the most recent war between Israel and Hezbollah, and to ensure the Israeli forces withdraw from Lebanese territory until the last inch. In addition, Salem's cabinet was formed less than 1 month after he was appointed and comes at a time where Lebanon is scrambling to rebuild its battered southern region and maintain security along its borders.
Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun signed a decree to form a new government on Saturday, ending over 2 years of political deadlock. This crucial move comes amid a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah and a severe economic crisis. The newly elected Prime Minister Nawaf sought donor funding. However, the new government faces immense challenges, including overseeing the precarious Israel-Hezbollah truce and addressing Lebanon's economic collapse. The United Nations welcomed the formation, with UN Special Coordinator Janine Hannes-Plashkot calling it a new and brighter chapter for Lebanon. Salem's government excludes political party members and individuals intending to run in parliamentary elections, with ministers chosen based on the quota system. Before exercising power, the government must draft a ministerial statement and secure parliamentary confidence within 30 days. It must also review agreements, including those with the IMF, and prepare for next year's elections. However, the ceasefire's future remains uncertain. Just days after the government's formation, Israeli warplanes carried out airstrikes in eastern and southern Lebanon, breaching the truce. These developments cast doubt on the government's ability to maintain stability and prevent further escalation. Can it navigate these challenges and deliver on its promises of reform and peace?
And for more analysis, we are joined from Beirut by Dr. Najat Aoun Saliba, the Lebanese parliament member, and Ahmed Yunus, the political analyst. Welcome both to the program. And we start off with Dr. Saliba, a very warm welcome. And the formation of the new government comes just 10 days before the end of the ceasefire agreement with Israel, after which Israeli forces will have to withdraw. What is the significance of that, Dr. Najat, and will this new government affect the implementation of the ceasefire agreement?
Thank you for the invitation. Good afternoon.
Always a pleasure to have you, Dr. Najat.
Thank you. A pleasure is mine to be on your news. It's very, very crucial and important to actually have this government up and running in order to be ready for the deadline that is set for the ceasefire agreement. I mean, this was not the original deadline. This was the extended new deadline that the US and Israeli has imposed on us. We believe that the government, along with the president, will have to put pressure on the international community to help us push Israel out of the occupied territory. This ceasefire agreement is extremely important to us. The implementation of the UN Resolution 1701 is also very important. We stand behind our Lebanese armed forces and our new formed government, as well as the new elect president, in order for them to be able to say to proclaim to the whole world that we have a cabinet, we have a government that is able to support our forces in order for them to take over all the occupied territory. This will also ensure the return of all the people back to their villages and their homes. This is a challenge, and we do hope that we all stand together in order for us to overcome this challenge.
Dr. Naghet, are you optimistic about the challenge?
We do have no choice but to project trust in the way we act and in the way we support our government. We want this government to get up and running. We want it to get the approval of the parliament so that they can project the trust that it's needed so that the international community, and especially the guardians of the ceasefire, including the US and the French, to support us in forcing Israel out of our territories.
I'll leave it there, and I'll be back to you again to ask you about the ceasefire, of course, and the implementation of the ceasefire on time. Dr. Qnews, welcome to the program, sir. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has expressed that the reconstruction of Lebanon is one of the main challenges facing the new government, and Dr. Saliba mentioned this now. How do you assess that challenge while the Israeli forces are still in southern Lebanon?
Good evening to you and your audience and your guest. The Prime Minister Nawaf Salam's commitment to Lebanon's reconstruction faces significant obstacles due to the continued presence of Israeli forces in southern region. So the ceasefire agreement effective since November 27, 2024. Mandated the withdrawal of Israeli troops and the redeployment of the Lebanese army. So Israel has extended its military presence beyond the initial 60 days deadline, citing incomplete implementation of ceasefire terms. So this ongoing occupation complicates reconstruction's efforts as areas remain inaccessible and security concerns persist. So the prolonged Israeli presence not only prevents physical rebuilding, but also undermines the confidence of displaced residents considering returning home. So the incidents of violence, such as the January 26, 2025 confrontation, where Israeli forces fired upon Lebanese civilians attempting to return to worsen the situation more. We know that the result was 22 victims and numerous injuries. So these events prevent resettlement and delay reconstruction initiatives.
Do you mean the acts that Lebanon are taking, that the Israelis are taking towards, the actions that the Israelis are taking towards the people in southern Lebanon, or the citizens in southern Lebanon, or the military in southern Lebanon, sir?
Yes, because the critical need for a complete Israel withdrawal to facilitate effective rebuilding and restore stability in the affected regions.
Okay, sir. Dr.
So
Saliba,
so there is no place for rebuilding and reconstruction if the presence still the Israeli presence is still.
this, sir, we'll know the answer in 10 days when the ceasefire ends and Israel, of course, withdraws from Lebanon. So then we're going to be knowing the answer. Dr. Saliba, Salem also pledged to implement Resolution 1701, including the disarmament of Hezbollah. From your own perspective, Dr. Saliba, how do you read Lebanese government in planning to do this?
First of all, there is the ministerial statement that is all that everyone is waiting for. If in the ministerial statement, we want that the ministerial statement does not include the presence of the Hezbollah resilience movement, because this is crucial so that we put the sovereignty and the presence of military forces in the hands of the Lebanese army forces. And
Dr. Naget, is it viable?
Yes, it is. Of course it is, because the Lebanese army forces have shown that they are capable to spread over the southern territory and even in the northern territory and all over Lebanon. And they have been able to secure the peace and the place for all villagers to go back to their homes. So we do trust the Lebanese armed forces, and we don't want any armed forces other than the Lebanese army forces. And that's why we call on Hezbollah and all other armed forces to turn in their weapons and armaments so that only the state is able to spread its forces and implement peace all over its territory. We want in the ministerial statement not to include the resilience of Hezbollah. And in addition to that, Hezbollah is asked by the UN Resolution 1701 to turn in all its weapons to the state and to the government. Those are very important conditions that not us as changed MPs or as members of the parliament, the Hezbollah and the chaperone or the spokesperson of Hezbollah, Nabi Berri, both signed the ceasefire agreement, not the members of the parliament. So both the head of the Speaker of the House and Hezbollah's delegates, as well as the caretaker government presided by Najib Miati, all agreed that they will implement the UN Resolution 1701, and they want and agreed on all the articles of the ceasefire agreement. And that's why there is no go back to any other form except this form.
Okay, Dr. Yunus. U.S. envoy Morgan Ortagus said in a speech in Beirut that Washington had set clear red lines that Hezbollah would not be part of the government. How do you view this American intervention in the formation of the Lebanese government, sir?
The United States, through Deputy Middle East Envoy Morgan Ortagus, has explicitly stated that Hezbollah should not participate in Lebanon's new government. As you have said, the word red line against its inclusion. So this stance reflects a long-standing U.S. policy aimed at limiting Hezbollah's influence due to its designation as a terrorist organization by Washington. So while the USA, in parallel of this, the USA emphasizes the need for a government committed to reforms and free from Hezbollah control. So this position has sparked a debate within Lebanon. So in the last 2 days, we have seen the critics argue that such external pressure violates upon Lebanon's sovereignty and complicates the already delicate process of government formation. So, which operates within a complex sectarian power sharing system. So, Hezbollah and its ally Amal movement hold a significant parliamentary representation. So you can't support reforming of the government and the new programs, and at the same time you are seeking or working for exclusivity, for excluding the two movements or the two parties, Hezbollah and Amal movement. So balancing international concerns with internal political realities remains a big challenge for Prime Minister Nawaf Salam as he seeks to establish an inclusive and effective government.
Sir, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam promised to follow up on implementation of a ceasefire agreement that ended the most recent war between Israel and Hezbollah and to ensure that Israeli forces withdraw from Lebanese territory until the last inch. Your narrative, sir.
Yes. What's the question?
Okay, sir, I'll go on to Dr. Saliba. Dr. Saliba, Joseph Aoun stressed that Lebanese army is ready to deploy after the Israeli forces withdraw on the 18th. How, Dr. Saliba, is Israel planning to do in the how Israel is planning to do in the coming stage of the ceasefire, and will the deal with the next stage of the ceasefire be implemented, and what are the challenges that are going to be facing them?
Well, we all know that Israel has always bad intentions and a hidden agenda or a hidden plan even after the ceasefire. The main challenges are five points that Israel intends to remain in, and those are going to create a major dispute if they don't withdraw completely from the Lebanese territory. So I think the challenge is not her or Israel's stay in some of the villages. It is in its stay in the main what do you call them, control points, and those are going to create a major dispute. We hope and we will stand with our president and with the prime minister in order for us to negotiate and put pressure on Israel with the international community so that they also withdraw from all the points that belongs to Lebanon, meaning that we want Israel to go back before or behind the blue lines and behind all the points that were agreed upon in the delineation of our borders in 1949. I think this is where the challenge is going to be, and this is where we will have to negotiate and discuss diplomatically and also prove to the international community that we are ready and serious to implement the UN Resolution 1701 so that Israel doesn't find any excuse to stay in Lebanon.
And Dr. Yunus, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has expressed a commitment to reforms, including financial and judicial improvements. What are the most urgent reforms you believe Lebanon needs at this point, sir?
Why? What?
Sir, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has expressed a commitment to reforms, to reforming Lebanon, sir, including financial and judicial improvements. What are the most urgent reforms you believe Lebanon needs at this point? Does it need to reform in the financial sector, or does it need to reform in the judicial sector, sir? Which is the most important that Lebanon should be touching, or the Prime Minister should be touching at this point?
I think the stability is the first challenge to make anything else. So to ensure the Lebanese army to make it more strong and can maintain the border security. So the new government should prioritize several key initiatives. For example, the securing international military assistance is crucial. Engaging with the allies such as the United States and France can provide access to advanced weapons, training programs, logistic. So I think that before financial programs and economics, I think that how to strengthen our Lebanese army in a way.
Dr. Yunus, of course,
Yes.
Lebanon and Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and the Prime Minister now are working on strengthening, of course, the Lebanese army. But my question is, which sectors, sir, should be working, or should the Prime Minister work on now at this point as we talk now? Is the judicial, sir, or the financial?
There are many sectors we have to work on, as we have said in the speech, the speech of Joseph Aoun about how to improve all the administration skills in all the sectors. So we have, for example, the rebuilding. You are talking about what are the targets now, the urgent targets. How about the rebuilding and the construction?
Okay, sir, I'll leave it there and I'll be back to you again. Dr. Saliba, how do you assess the political dynamics between the new government and Hezbollah, while Hezbollah is not directly represented in the cabinet? And do you believe this will hinder or support the government's goal of achieving stability at this point?
There is no choice after the signing of the ceasefire agreement. There is no choice for Hezbollah other than being involved in the political role. They will not have any armed role in the country. And this is, like I said, after them signing the ceasefire agreement. So Lebanon would welcome any political role Hezbollah would play, because they represent a great part of the country, a great population. And in the contrary, I think their presence as political leaders and political players would add to the diversity and the richness of the country. However, playing the role that they used to play in putting forward the benefits of Iran and the benefits of Syria or any other country over the benefit of Lebanon, this is not going to be welcomed. Let's say that the benefits of Syria are now coinciding or going in parallel with the benefits of Lebanon with the new regime in Syria, but the old regime was also interfering through Hezbollah in the politics in Lebanon. So we do hope that they play a political role, but this political role will remain under the main sovereignty and the peace of the country and under the law of the local of our country and under its constitution. Other than this, nothing is going to be accepted.
Dr. Nagat, you abide to the fact that Hezbollah will be playing an important role in Lebanon?
If they choose to do a political role, I'm saying they are welcome. Otherwise, they're not welcome to do what they used to do in terms of interfering in the parallel economy, interfering in the sovereignty of the country, or putting the benefits of other countries in over the country, the benefit of our country, and also interfering by arming their people over or in parallel with the Lebanese armed forces. All of these parallel systems that they have created are not going to be welcome, and we will stop them as much as we can and for as far as we can. However, political roles are open to everyone under the rule of law of the country.
That was from Beirut, Dr. Nagat Aoun Sariba, the Lebanese parliament member. We're very thankful to have you with us today on the show. And Ahmed Yunus, the political analyst. Thank you very much for your insights, sir. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of In Depth. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more coming up here on Qnews.